and welcome back, everybody. Welcome to Biz&Balls once again. And today we have a very special episode. Today marks the first sports report that we are doing on our show. Today we also have a very special guest. His name is João. You can call him João or Duda. It's both very difficult names to pronounce. But today we have him as a special guest on our show. João, do you want to introduce yourself to the crowd?
Yeah, hi everyone, my name is João. Everyone calls me either, because I live abroad, so everyone calls me either Jao, which is like easier, or Duda, you can call me as you wish. So basically I'm an 18-year-old student in the UK. I study in Coventry. I don't know if you know where Coventry is, it's like close to Birmingham. And yeah, I'm studying mechanical engineering. My goal is to someday get to Formula One, hopefully. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, so João, whatever you want to call him, he's probably going to be the next Adrian Newey of Formula One, who knows? But first of all, before we begin our show, I just want to thank you so much, guys, for reaching 6,000 people on Spotify. That's a huge goal for us that I think we didn't expect to reach this audience, this crowd, so much people, in our first weeks. So from us, a big thank you, and we hope you continue listening. But today we have, as we said, the first sports episode. We will talk about 3 sports in this episode, which will be football, we will be Formula One, and to cap off very briefly, it's gonna be golf. So, getting into football today, we will talk about Premier League football, we will talk the Portuguese National League, and we'll also talk about the Euro 2024 coming in now on Germany. And starting off the Premier League, João, I don't know if you want to say something to start, but I think what we've seen in the last couple of weeks in the Premier League, I think was a very, I would say, a very good image of what the championship was looking like. Arsenal always having that close gap to City, but at the end, and like it was last year, City once again winning the Premier League by a very, very small margin. But it's another championship on the back for City. We will talk a little bit more in depth, but briefly, João, what do you think about this season?
Yeah, it pains me to say because I'm a big Arsenal fan, but like these last few years, I think that City are just unbeatable. Like they've built a team where you look at them and you can't see anything that you could improve. Like honestly, I don't know in this transfer window if they're going to get someone, because I don't think their team lacks anything, especially like they have the subs already. They have Doku, they have Alvarez, they've got Grealish, they've got Mateus Nunes, all of them sitting on the bench. And it's like, I don't know, I mean, I really like Arsenal, and I'm proud to be an Arsenal fan because we gave them a good fight, and I think we did everything we could. But I don't know, I think right now there's no way you can compete against City, especially with the team they have and the coach they have.
Yeah, that's true. I think City has been unbeatable the last few years. I think it's also a part of their big investment they've been making. Well, especially in the past. Talking about a bit more down the table, let's say opposite to City, Manchester United once again, and for an all-time record, I think it's their worst qualifying position in the Premier League ever. Yeah, so that was really disappointing, as instead of liking Arsenal, I do. I'm not a fan, but I would sympathize with Manchester United. A very poor season from them. I think a lack of leadership, a lack of union in the bench, in the locker room, and it was just a very, very disappointing once again season for United, just not making it even to any well, let's say international or European Cup, not a conference, not a Europe League, nor Champions, not even close.
Can I just say, like, I find it very, very interesting, very funny that you say there's a lack of leadership in Manchester United when their captain is Bruno Fernandes. Your boy from Sporting, but yeah, I mean he's a good player, and I think that what happened to United was that the injuries just, especially in the defense, it just killed them. Like they were playing Casemiro at centre back last few games, and I mean I think that United started like they didn't start terribly, but then I think Ten Hag didn't do quite the greatest job, and also like every player got injured, so there's something in the physios that's not working correctly, and I mean it's just disappointing too. I think they were like 15 points ahead of Chelsea, and they end up losing like Europa League or Conference League to Chelsea.
To Chelsea, yeah, very disappointing. When I was saying lack of leadership, I was of course not intending to exactly talk about Bruno, because I think Bruno is an excellent player. I think he can improve as a captain as well, being more cool. His temper is hard to control. Sometimes he yells too much at referees and get yellows. But I just think Ten Hag just hasn't, picked up the team from the beginning. He struggled to get united with the fans and get the team together in a good spirit. So it has been a very tough times. It has been very tough times for United. But yeah, even Chelsea has ended up ahead of them. And Solskjaer got sacked for way less. And let's not forget that Solskjaer actually got a second place in United, and Ten Hag has got a ninth. They still have the FA Cup final against City, which I think is gonna be not a game but a slaughter from City. But we'll see how that goes. Now, turning our heads, focus on the Champions League, which will be the final of the Champions League. It will be who's gonna be it, Sean?
I think it's a pretty obvious question. Real have got like a 10 times better team than Dortmund. I think Dortmund could be good underdogs, but I don't think they have it in themselves to beat such a team like Real Madrid, especially because of the whole aura that Real has got in the Champions League. Like, it's insane. I've never seen a team play like that in the Champions League. They just become a different beast. And especially if they end up getting Mbappe this summer, I don't know if anything is going to stop them next year.
That's gonna be crazy if they get Mbappe. I think it's gonna be a worthy game of Champions League final. On one side you got Royce leaving the club and maybe leaving football, and on the other side you've got the basically the owners of the Champions League. So we'll see how that goes. Now we will talk about, and to much of my delight, the Portuguese national cup, or not cup but championship, which has been won by Sporting Clube de Portugal. And like João said, I am a big fan of Sporting, so I'm really happy. You cannot see me, but I am with a big smile right now. But talking on a bit unbiased role right now, I think it was a good championship. I think it was a deserved championship. I think the best team overall in this championship was, of course, Sporting. With special marks to players like Victor Gyökeres and some others. You got Morten Hjulmand, very good players who helped this team, who ended up fourth last year, so a very bad result last year for Sporting. And this year managing to beat their rivals Benfica and also Porto. So that was an exciting championship this year. A lot to be talked about in the Benfica team, especially with their coach Roger Schmidt, about him continuing in the club or not. It was, of course, for Benfica standards, a very disappointing season, being eliminated of the championship of the cup, the Portuguese Cup, and being left 10 points behind the championship. Not like me, João is exactly the opposite. He's from a rival team, which is Benfica. So, what do you have to say on this championship this year?
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to say that here in England, we don't say Sporting Clube de Portugal, we say Sporting Lisbon, because you're a small club. But yeah, I mean, fair enough. Like this year, Benfica wasn't good enough, and Sporting just played at their best. They got a bargain in Victor Gyökeres, who came from Coventry City. Here, everyone loves him. Everyone knew he would be a great player, and I mean, Sporting just got a bargain on him. And I think people are saying that he might stay in Sporting, but I think he should leave because he's got so much more potential than Sporting, and it's true. A great player should never stay in the Portuguese league. And I mean, I think Benfica, we weren't terrible, but I think we lacked a lot of good finishing, especially on the striker. We didn't get any good striker this year. We spent more than 40 million on strikers this transfer window, on the summer 2023, and they didn't turn up and play as expected, so you could call them flops. Yeah, but then we had at least in my opinion, the best player I've seen play in Benfica, João Neves. I mean, he's absurd, he's insane, and he has been linked to Arsenal, which would make me a very happy man. But I mean, on one side, Sporting had Gyökeres. I think on the other side, Benfica had João Neves. But overall, Sporting were a more compact team. They had the group spirits. I think that helps a lot because Sporting has a lot of national players, so a lot of Portuguese players, and also their coach cannot be compared to Roger Schmidt. I don't think Roger should be sacked because he's trying to build a project, and I think that if we sack him now, we have just spent 100 million on players he likes, and now we're gonna have a new manager that may not like the players. I think he's not the greatest manager, but at least give him 1 more year to see if he can actually do something with this team. But yeah, you have a great coach. He is from Benfica, but he is managing Sporting now, and fair enough, he's done a great job.
Yeah, indeed he has. Ruben Amorim has been an incredible coach, and I think he might turn out to be one of the best in the world. Who knows if he leaves, not next year because he will stay 1 more year at Sporting, but maybe on the other year. So that's the Portuguese national championship wrapped up. Now we were gonna talk about briefly, before we go into Formula One, about the Euro coming in 2024 this year on Germany. A lot of I would say a lot of prospects to win this Euro. I think we have got a very strong national teams, for starters, Portugal has got an unbelievable team, and the attack with Rafael Leão, Cristiano Ronaldo, and many others. You've got Bruno Fernandes, you've got so many. Ruben Dias, Diogo Costa, one of the Bernardo Silva as well. That is true. One of the best midfielders in the world. You got Cancelo. You got an amazing team from Portugal. So I think there will be a tough team to beat. But you've got teams like Germany, France, England, who's also been, killer on the pre-games. But I just wanted to get your perspective, João. If you had to pick one candidate to win this Euro, who would it be and why?
I think there's a top 5 of candidates. I'd say Portugal, Spain, France, Germany, and England. I think those are the 5 best. They have the best chance to win it. But as soon as you look to the England squad, I think they only lack a goalkeeper and maybe a center back. But as soon as you turn to the midfield and the attack, I mean, you have Rice, you have Bellingham, you have Cole Palmer, you have Saka, you have Harry Kane, you have Phil Foden. It's just, I think any sort of team that has those players should be winning an Euro or a World Cup. However, I feel that most English people I know don't like Southgate. I think they think he's a bad manager, and we have seen sometimes that he does not get the best out of the team. However, I still think that England, with the squad they have, and if players like Luke Shaw and Kieran Trippier are able to be fit for the World Cup, they will give a good shot and I would say win the competition.
Yeah, England is looking insane. I've been looking to the squad that they have selected, and just looking at the forwards, you've got Jude Bellingham, you've got Jared Bowen, you've got Eze from Crystal Palace, you've got Phil Foden, Anthony Gordon from Newcastle, Jack Grealish, Harry Kane, James Maddison, Cole Palmer, Bukayo Saka, Ivan Toney, and Wally Watkins. That is unbelievable. Honestly, that is an unbelievable forward lineup. And in the midfield, you got Arnold, Gallagher, Curtis Jones, Kobe Mainoo, the star rising from United. You got Rice. And as João also mentioned, the goalkeepers could be the only thing in England lacks, because you have Dean Anderson, Pickford, Ramsdale, and James Trafford. So maybe the only thing they need is a goalkeeper, but besides that, they are looking absolutely unbelievable for these Euros and looking like a really good candidate. So, moving on now from sports in terms of football, now we'll be moving on to Formula One, which was indeed very asked to be talked about on our Instagram. A lot of you guys reached out to us via cold DMs and also in the chat box that I posted, that we have posted on Instagram, asking for us to talk about Formula One. And today we will talk about Formula One. I myself, I'm a very big fan of Formula One. I love the sport. João is also a big fan. Of course, he has talked about his dream of maybe one day joining Formula One as an engineer. That would be really good. But what we'll talk about in Formula One will be other that Lando Norris's first win, Red Bull downfall, and preview on the Monaco Grand Prix. So, starting off, we have picked an unbelievable guest to come on the show, because not only is he an Arsenal fan, not only is a Benfica fan, but he's also a Lando Norris fan. So, how does it feel to see Lando winning his first race, finally?
I mean, it's a mixed feeling, because at the time of the race I was working, so I didn't get to see the race. I only got to see like the last 5 or 6 laps because I was on a break. But as soon as I got to my break, I open up my phone and I see Pedro spamming me with texts saying, "Oh my god, you must be going crazy." And I'm like, no way. And as soon as I put on the live stream, I see that Norris is in first place. And I mean, he's been proving himself since maybe last year or 2 years ago that he's good enough to win races. Just didn't have the luck, especially in Russia, where he did a wrong call with the weather. I think that was the one that hurt him the most. But this season, I think he has been Verstappen, which is like, he's just insane. And then it has been like Norris and maybe Leclerc that have been the two best on race pace. And I mean, he showed himself again last weekend on Imola. Like, he gave a good fight to Verstappen with a car that is not meant to be as good as a Red Bull's car. But I think that he can only get better from now on, and he's got the pressure off of getting the first win. And I think he could be one of the greats of Formula One. However, I think that if Red Bull dominance keeps on going and Max Verstappen's dominance keeps on going, I think it will be very hard for either him or Leclerc or even like Russell to affirm themselves. It will be very hard against Verstappen.
Yeah, indeed, will be very hard because this season we have had how many races? We got Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Australia, Japan, China, Miami, and now Emilia Romagna, Imola, as you may call it, much easier. Looking at the winners, we have got Verstappen on all of them but two, in Australia and Miami, both won respectively by Carlos Sainz and now Lando Norris, of course. I think, as you mentioned, Norris has been proving himself from a lot of time ago. I think everyone knows how good he is. He just needed to get that break and get that first Formula One win to, get much more, because after his first, he nearly won his second, which would be 2 in a row. But Red Bull dominance, however, has not been going very well. We have seen controversy on the Red Bull garage with Christian Horner, team leader, being accused of sending, very sussy messages to female employees. That is not the behavior you want to see from a team leader. You've got Adrian Newey also leaving the team, a man who can be called the GOAT of aerodynamics and making exceptional cars, championship winning cars. And you've got Verstappen, who is not quite sure yet to be staying at Red Bull for the future or not. He has been linked to many other seats. Well, the strongest possibility has been, without a doubt, Mercedes. Mercedes, who have been struggling these last few years to get back up to the top after the amazing 2021 season, which went down to the last race. But yeah, like we've said, like many have said, the future is unknown for Formula One, because instead of last year, we haven't seen a Red Bull that dominant these last two races. Well, Verstappen won, I believe, this Grand Prix was by 0.7 milliseconds, so that's a very small margin, and lost to Lando Norris in Miami. So Formula One's future is within, I would say, Max Verstappen and Lando Norris's hands, maybe Charles Leclerc, with Ferrari coming with a lot of upgrades to Imola, but who knows what's gonna happen. We've also seen that a lot can change, and very quickly in Formula One. So yeah, the future is to be left unseen. The championship is not close. It is not nearly given to the Red Bull driver of Max Verstappen like he had it last year. So yeah, a lot to be seen. But now we are, of course, once again on race week, and we will be racing no other than that in the circuit of Monte Carlo in Monaco, one of the most iconic tracks in Formula One, if not the most. A circuit that's known to give amazing qualifyings but terrible races. João, can you give us a perspective of what you think we're gonna be seeing on Monaco? If it will be Red Bull, maybe McLaren, maybe even Ferrari?
I mean, first of all, I'd like to say that we have been talking because McLaren has got a new livery, which is an homage to Senna, and I think that McLaren may channel their inner Senna and put up a great performance in Monaco. Lando Norris I'd say he's a good driver around Monaco. I think last 2-3 years he's managed to get two podiums with cars that weren't as good as this year's car, and I think that McLaren, especially, I think it was the Japanese Grand Prix, Chinese Grand Prix or Japanese, I'm not sure. They were lacking a bit on the straights, so I think that maybe Monaco will help them a little bit more because of the lack of straights. And I mean, honestly, I think it will be between McLaren and Verstappen because Perez is not showing up as he should. I think that's also another point that Red Bull should look at, is that Perez last season wasn't great. This season he's been even worse. And I think that Red Bull have the car to come first in the constructors, but if it's only Max Verstappen doing the work, it will be harder for Red Bull to get this first place. But I think that Verstappen has showed us he's a great driver. He is very consistent. He makes zero to few mistakes. And I mean, Monaco should be another great drive from him, especially if he manages to get pole, because it's a very hard track to overtake on. Maybe some safety cars will change the routes of things because of it being a street circuit. Maybe some red flags even, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yep, it's gonna be a thrilling race and most thrilling qualifying. Maybe one of the best actually qualifyings of the year. We've seen in Monaco in 2022 where Perez actually won from Sainz and Verstappen came third. And on 2023, Verstappen won ahead of Alonso, who almost did pole, and in third place came not other than that Esteban Ocon. Alpine far away from those results this year, but yeah, it's shaping up to be a great Monaco Grand Prix this weekend. Make sure to watch at least qualifying because that's going to be very exciting with the McLaren, Ferrari and Red Bull all eyeing for pole position. A very important track will start from pole, as Jean said. It is important because Monaco is one of the toughest circuits in the calendar to overtake. And moving on from Formula One, we hope you enjoyed that one bit from Formula One. We will be talking on the future more. Absolutely, we'll bring João hopefully a few more times in to talk about no, not only Formula One but maybe other sports. And lastly, for this episode, we will talk about golf, which may not be the most exciting sports you want to hear, but I'm sure there's some of you out there that do like golf as me. I do like it and I do play it, but just briefly on before we end up this episode this week, it has been a controversial last weeks for the PGA Tour and the Live Golf, with both being conflicting on terms if they are agreeing or not to proceed as one. But meanwhile, while that's happening in the PGA Championship, the first major of the year has been won by Xander Schauffele after terribly losing out on the last few holes on 2 weeks ago, just before the PGA Championship. So yeah, Xander Schauffele getting the revenge and winning his first major, to be as considered as a surprise because Xander is an amazing player. He has not won one major since the start of his career. That's pretty much what we have to say on golf. Not much to be talked about. Not big tournaments coming now, just the major this week. Also, the rise of Victor Hovland, once again the FedEx Cup winner last year, finally getting a good result after some terrible tournaments. But yeah, Xander Schauffele won from Bryson DeChambeau, and that is it from golf. That is it from our first sports episode of Biz and Balls. We hope you liked it. I liked it. I think João liked it as well. João, thank you very much coming on the show. It has been an absolute pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me. And I hope everyone likes to hear the podcast.
It has been, yeah, it has been an absolute pleasure. We hope you guys tune in next week because we'll be back with the business side of things. From our side is everything. Hope you have a great week, but until then, stay safe. See you soon, guys.